So Margin Call, very compact, dialogue-driven movie, but sometimes the language is almost alien because of this environment that they work in, this language they speak. I was kind of curious about how you learned it, how you understood it.
No idea.
Phonetically.
So much of the dialogue was of that legalese we cut out.
We did.
We just blacked out.
We got rid of it. Yeah, we got rid of a lot of gum.
Really, that's as easy as it can be to understand. We wanted to.
And most of the characters going, I can't fucking read graphs. What are you asking me for?
That's true. You guys get away with a lot. Like I don't understand.
Just explain it to me. Which means that you really are relying, that the financial structure of the world is relying on a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Like rocket scientists going, well, this is what it means. I mean, how do we know they really know what it means? Yeah, they aren't making it up.
They're young, they're bright, they must be right. I didn't mean to.
Ass patches, he'll know.
That was a great slogan.
And as far as, because it's so dialogue driven, do you guys have a lot of time to rehearse, or is this an on-set sort of like dynamic that you kind of discovered?
Yeah, it was lovely actually. We were mostly shooting in just one floor of a building.
An actual office building.
An actual office
that's
building.
The view
that's always helpful.
From that building that's behind us. One Penn Plaza, which had a corporation in it that was, I think, an investment firm that went under. And so we came in and occupied it for the better part of 17 days that we shot in there. And because we didn't have dressing rooms, we had offices that we were using as dressing rooms, we were all there. And so we actually got, I think, a greater amount of rehearsal and chance to really go through things and talk through things and discuss things before we started shooting than you normally do.
It was actually great. I have been on jobs where you get to the afternoon and you think with the actor that you're working with, you actually didn't read this scene last night before you went to bed. You just didn't, and we are working it out for you. We're spending the day working it out for you because you didn't do your fucking job.
Exactly. Yeah.
Whereas this was entirely different. People were there was so little time. People were rehearsing in dressing rooms while other people were shooting, and it just endlessly felt like you were playing catch up, and it was really exciting. And
sure. And how important was it to develop a sympathy for these characters? They're doing some stuff that most people might consider not cool, but I'm kind of curious that they still, I feel bad when they're going through this crazy time.
I'm not sure sympathy is the word I would use. I think empathy and perhaps an understanding that maybe it's easy and maybe it's satisfying to be able to point fingers and say that every single person who works at a bank has the same kind of motivations, is the same kind of person as some of the bigger characters that we see, that I'm pretty sure is what fuels things like the protests down in Wall Street. But at the same time, having met a lot of bankers, having done a lot of work with bankers, having raised a lot of money through banks, certainly through the work I do at the Old Vic, I have come to understand that they're not all horrible, greedy people, and that this interested me because the film in some way attempted to humanize characters that have been largely demonized. Because it's important that people feel they can point their fingers. But at the end of the day, maybe this just allows people to see that not everybody is in a position of authority, and that many, many people who are working in these organizations are following orders and have salaries to make and families to feed, and
And the movie was very relevant when we saw it back at Sundance, and now it's like being informed by the protests, and maybe it's also informing the protest itself. Do you guys think that this movie is a comment on that?
I think you're never going to get anywhere by blaming individuals, and I don't think anybody really wants to. I think they just want more regulation, and I think that's absolutely fine.